So, let's talk about shin splints because they're awful. If you are new around here, my name is Gillian, or Coach G. I am a running coach that helps runners of all levels go from where they are today to having a boatload of fun in achieving their running goals. I focus on nutrition and mindset because it's all connected. And it's not just as simple as putting one foot in front of the other. There's so many other components to consider when going out for a run. Hold on, let me just double check that this is connected. I think so. Hopefully you can hear me. So, shin splints, super common. We're going to chat about what they are. Let's start with what they are, how they occur. We're going to talk about injury prevention. And then if you get shin splints, let's chat about what you can do to get back running strong. So throughout the whole month, I am focusing on running strong. So Monday to Thursday, every day of February, I'm doing an IG Live to chat a little bit about hints and tips on running strong so you can achieve your running goals this year. So talking about things like simple tips that you can implement right now, which was one of the first ones that I did last week. Intuitive movement, foam rolling, how a physio and a chiropractor can help you, how yoga and Pilates can help you get strong. I've got a lot of good topics coming up. Some of them are just by myself. Some of them I'll have experts in the field that will come and chat to us. So follow along because it is going to be a fun-filled February. Just made that up and it was brilliant. Where we are going to get you feeling amazing and being strong mentally and physically. So let's start with shin splints and the fact that they are super common. I guarantee that if you were to do a poll of your running friends, the majority of them have probably had shin splints at some point in their running journey. So if you have them right now, it's okay. It's totally common. If you aren't sure what shin splints are, it is, as the name suggests, to do with your shin, which is the bone that runs down the front of your lower leg. Now, the pain can either be a dull ache just down the front. Maybe it's tender to touch. Maybe it's fine when you're walking or running. And then that progresses right up to it hurts to walk and it hurts to run. So there's quite a variable in terms of discomfort. So ideally, if you do get shin splints, we want to kind of catch it at that just a slight dull ache along the front of the bone stage versus you ran through them and you're now in a lot of pain on walking, running, and then it could potentially lead to a shin fracture, which we do not want. So we kind of want to grab it when it's at that kind of just a slightly dull ache at the front of your leg. I keep saying the front of your leg, but it can also affect the slight inside of your leg, but it's still at the front beside that shin bone area. It can occur for 4 reasons. Sometimes it can be all 4, sometimes it can just be 1. But typically it is either your shoes, either doing too much too soon, mobility in the knee or ankle, or the way you're running. So let's kind of dive into these a little bit deeper. Shoes. They're probably the most important thing when it comes to injury prevention. Unfortunately, shoes do not last forever. Unfortunately, there's not one shoe that works for everyone. And it is a bit of a trial and error to find. You're like Cinderella. You're trying to find the perfect shoe for you. So recommendation is to always go to a specialist running store and get fitted for shoes. The associates there will be knowledgeable on the different brands, different types of shoes. So you want to go in and try on as many as you possibly can and find the right shoe for you that will support you. Now the shoes, like I said, won't last forever. So it can be anywhere between 500 and 800 kilometers of life that shoe will have. Now the shoe may look absolutely perfect on the outside. The sole might even look good if you've just been using it on the treadmill. So none of it is dirty or worn away. But just because it looks fine on the outside, it doesn't mean that it's not started to break down on the inside. And a lot of injuries or aches and pains are down to the shoe being at the end of its running life. Now you can either track those miles or kilometers using your Garmin or just a piece of paper, but you can kind of keep track of it, and that'll kind of give you a bit of a guide in terms of when you might need to replace the shoes. If you're new to running or you're running shorter distances, anywhere sort of from 0 to 10k, then your shoes are going to last a little bit longer. But if you are training for a half or a full or an ultra, then you're going to need several shoes, if not several of shoes throughout the year. So just keep a log of how much kilometers or miles you're doing in the shoes. And it's not just the running kilometers or miles, it's every single step you take in that shoe that contributes to its death. So anytime that you walk in that shoe, anytime that you use that shoe in the gym, any steps count towards the lifespan of that shoe. So my recommendation would be to have one shoe for running and only doing running in, and another shoe for the gym or for walks or for hikes or whatever. So you want to kind of keep your running shoes just for running in, because we want to prolong the life of it for as long as we possibly can. So if you have Shin Splints shoes, first and foremost, take a look at your shoes and consider going and get properly fitted for a new pair. Increasing the distance or the intensity. I would say this is probably, well, let's say it's definitely the second reason, most likely reason that you've got Shin Splints. If you are new to running or you're coming back to running after a prolonged period of time being off, it's very easy for the mind to be like, no, you can go more, you can go faster, go. And your body is like, no, that is not happening. So don't listen to your mind here, listen to your body, and slow and steady wins the race. Not literally, but you want to be going slow. Slowly increase the distance, slowly increase the intensity, because doing too much too soon, that could then result in the shin splints. So whether you are working with a coach like or using a training plan, stick to those slow increases, reduce the intensity, and don't do too much too soon, because we don't want to lose that enthusiasm of you starting back to running. We want to have you feeling good for the entirety of it. So avoid doing too much too soon. And I talk about that mostly being with new runners, but it can happen if you've gone from 10k and you're now training for a marathon or any other distances. If you are not having the sufficient number of pullback weeks, if you're doing more than a 10% increase each week, if you are doing significantly more tempos or hills or speed work, then it can also happen as well. But I typically see it more in runners that are either new or coming back to running after taking a long break. Poor mobility in the ankle and knee. So this is a muscle imbalance piece, and a lot of injuries, a good portion of injuries can be contributed down to muscle imbalance, which is why cross training and strength training is so important. Definitely if you're training for a half or a full or an ultra marathon, it's a good habit to get into doing whilst you're training for a 5k, 10k, doing 1-2 times a week, doing cross training, strength training, just to ensure that you don't have those muscle imbalances and to make sure that the ankles in particular are strong, because running, you put quite a lot of strain on the ankles, so you want them to be strong and not kind of loosey-goosey and resulting in an injury. Sorry, I keep having to swallow lots. I'm still getting over a cold and it's unpleasant. So, fourth one is the running technique. So, as one of the exercises that I do with my clients, I get them to film themselves running and then I kind of tweak what their form looks like, because form can really help just overall your running experience as well as for injury prevention. But one of the key components of running strong and running to prevent shin splints is to not land on your heel when you're running. Pretty much anywhere else is fine to land, but if you're landing on your heel, so if you're kind of stopping like this as you run, then the shock that kind of goes up your calf and your shin is going to be quite a lot. Every single step, if that's how you're landing, you want to be landing, gosh, can I even do it like this? Flatter or the front of your foot and kind of rolling back. Because if you're landing straight on your heel, then that's not going to feel particularly pleasant, and that will result in an injury. So you want to kind of be looking at your running technique. Like I said, I do this with all of my clients. And heck, if you're not a client, if you want to send me a video of you running, then send it to me either in the DMs or send me a DM and ask for my email address, and I'm happy to take a look at how you're running to see if there's a way to prevent shin splints happening to you, because they are not fun, and I'm happy to review your running technique. So we've talked about what shin splints are and how they occur. Let's talk about some preventative measures that we can all do as part of our running day to day, because this applies for preventing all injuries, not just shin splints. So, first one, the most important thing is you've got to do a warm up. Every single run, you need to do a warm up. And last week's IG Live, I talked about 3 simple techniques, and one of them to reduce injuries, and one of them was what I considered the running sandwich. So you've got the bread, it's your warm-up, you've got the filling of your sandwich, which is your run, and then the next piece of bread that finishes the sandwich is your cool down, your stretching, your foam rolling. So in my mind, your run isn't complete until you've had this running sandwich. If you've just done the run and the cool down, or you've just done the warm-up or the run, warm-up and the run, or just the run, then it doesn't count. You need to have the whole sandwich for the run to count. So, as part of injury prevention, you want to ensure that you're doing a warm-up for every single run. Now, it doesn't have to be a 20-minute production. It doesn't have to delay you from getting out for your run greatly. It can be a few minutes of movement on each side to get you and your muscles ready for running, just that little bit warm. If you want to go back to the IG Live that I did last Thursday, and I kind of go into a little bit more detail there in terms of the warm-up and some of the movements that you could do, but always do a warm-up. Second, I briefly mentioned before about your shoes. We want to kind of keep track of how old the shoes are and how many miles or kilometers you've done on those shoes. And go replace them as soon as you possibly can when you either start feeling aches and pains, or if you actually get injured, you need to get them replaced ASAP. Again, avoid landing on that heel. So make sure that you are not stopping your flow every time that you run. So just be mindful of how you are hitting the ground. And as I mentioned before, send me a video of your running and I can give you some hints and tips on how to hopefully prevent any shin splints. And the fourth one, which I think again is a good thing to kind of just do in general, not just for shin splints, is to do some calf strengthening, giving your calves some love. So again, as I mentioned before, as part of your cross training, part of strength training, doing movements that help just strengthen your calves in general, but also your feet, your hamstrings, your quads, your glutes. Having everything strong will just help with no muscle imbalances, because muscle imbalances can cause injuries. So we want to ensure that we're just showing love to our body to ensure that we are running strong. Okay, if you do get shin splints, maybe you're watching this video and you've already got them, so you're like, I don't need to know what they are, I don't need to know how to prevent them because I already have them, just give me the details. Here they are for you. First one is to stop running as soon as you have any form of discomfort. As I mentioned earlier, it kind of varies between just a dull ache on the front of your leg. Maybe it's just sore to touch rather than actually sore whilst you're moving. And it goes up to very sore when you're walking or running. Regardless of where you are on this spectrum, you need to stop running. You need to rest and recover. If you keep running through the shin splints or the shin pain or any injury for that matter, then it's going to get worse. What do you want? Do you want to be able to run long term? Or do you want to be able to just run the run that you're in? Because I know I want to be able to run for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. I don't want to just be focusing on the run that I'm in or the race that I'm training for. I'm training for life. So if you've got any pain, any discomfort, stop. Do not keep running. You want to rest that leg as much as you possibly can. You can ice it as much as you want. I wouldn't ice it to the point where your leg has gone numb, but throughout the day you can certainly put some ice packs on it just for that little bit of relief. A couple other things that you can do. Well, firstly, you could go see a physio. If you have got a lot of discomfort, if it hurts to walk, absolutely go see a physio. They are the experts when it comes to this, and I do actually have a physio coming on. When is she coming on? The 20th. I've got a physio coming on the 20th to talk to us about how physios can help us to run strong. So I'll maybe ask her about shin splints there, but we go see a physio. If you've got any form of pain, any form of discomfort, they are your go-to people, and they'll be able to advise in terms of movements that you can do to help just get back to running as quickly as you possibly can. If you're feeling like, oh, Gillian, I've got a race coming up, I don't want to not run, I want to still be doing something, I don't want to lose my fitness, you can still do movement, but just limit it to low intensity so you're not aggravating that leg at all, or consider doing things that are sort of waist up, so you can still do strength, you can still do cross training, but try not to put too much pressure on that leg, because we're still going to be resting, we're still going to be in recovery mode. So just do what you can for the mental aspect, but not to injure yourself more. And then once you have no longer have any pain, no longer have any discomfort, we want to be easing back in slowly. We want to not for this to happen again. So no matter where you were in your training when you got injured, we want to kind of take it back a few steps so that you are reducing the intensity, like we said, you're reducing the distances, and we're kind of getting back to building up that strong foundation. No matter what injury that you experience, we always want to kind of use the data from that to help make sure that you come back stronger, so to make sure that it doesn't happen again. So what happened to get you injured in the first place? Let's get that fixed. Let's reduce the intensity. Even if you're just out of action for a week, we want to still just reduce the intensity so that we are building you back stronger and that you don't get re-injured, because that is definitely something we do not want to happen if you're not, if you haven't taken care of yourself properly. So yeah, definitely seeing a physio, they will help. If you've got a running coach like then I can help reduce the intensity on your training plan and ensure that you come back stronger. If you are using a training plan and you don't have a coach, then my recommendation would be potentially to go back a month in your training, maybe even longer depending on what you're training for, at what level you're at, but definitely take it back a substantial chunk just to ensure that you are not going to get re-injured or another injury comes through you having not run for a little while, because you don't want to recover from one and then go back to another. So we talked about the fact that it's common, that we talked about what it is, we talked about injury prevention, and we talked about what to do if you do get shin splints. it's not the end of the world. You can absolutely come back from shin splints and still race the race that you were training for. We just need to be a bit more mindful of what happened and how to prevent it going forward. If you're unsure about next steps, then give me a shout and I can help kind of point you in the right direction. Everything that I've said here, none of it can be considered medical advice. I am not a GP, I'm not a physio. This is just all recommendations as a running coach on how I would coach my clients. So give me a shout if you've got any questions. I can't answer like specific medical stuff, but I will do my best to at least point you in the right direction. So as I mentioned at the beginning of this live, I am doing running strong lives throughout the whole of the month. Tomorrow I am talking about mindset. So this is probably one of the most important pieces that any runner can work on to ensure that they are running strong, because running strong isn't just physical, it's also mental. And I personally would say it's more mental than physical, especially if you are training for a new distance or a long distance. It's all mental, my friend. So we are going to be chatting then about tips that I recommend that you do either during your run, after your run, or before your run to help set you up strong and enjoying your run. And that's it. Thank you for joining me today. If you have got any questions on shin splints or what running coaching is, whether that is right for you, whether you just want to chat running, let me know. I love chatting about running, nutrition, mindset. I am here to help in any way that I possibly can. And hopefully you found that useful, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.